All right. For a while now, I've been trying to figure out, you know, how to make powder coat, shake and bake easier. Uh, Even before hernias and all that fun stuff. Before it became a literal pain. uh, and a while back, Tin Man converted the Harbor Freight rock tumbler to a PC tumbler, and you know, running with that idea. Well, the single drum tumbler is $50. The dual drum one is $60, and I really don't want to put out that money. I've got better things to spend it on. So, I'm thinking, what do I have around here that I could, kind of replicate that and make it work with what I have? And looked around, and it's like, yeah, I do have something that I could use. Now, how do I make my stuff, work together? That's where the problem lies. And, several months later, the aha moment came, and finally figured it out. All right, many of you may have one of these or something like it. You could use this idea with. Good old fart. Now don't freak out and turn off the video. Don't get me wrong. I'm not suggesting you put powder in the drum. Viewer count just went down, didn't it? Yeah. No. My first idea was to use this as a carrier. And by that I mean run a piece of PVC through it, put the caps on, use it for powder, and then it could be removed and used to tumble brass. Dual purpose. Thing is, this opening is about 4 inches. 4-inch PVC is 4.5-inch outside diameter, so it won't fit. 3 inches, 3.5-inch diameter, so it will fit, but basically I have to wrap it with tape or something, get it, snug. That can be worked with. Now, I do have 4-inch. I don't have 3-inch. So this isn't an option for what I have. But hey, all right. For note, this outer ring is about an 8-inch diameter. So, months went by, like I said, and I finally figured it out. And this is what I came up with. Yes, you're seeing that right. Lawnmower wheels. You press out the hubs, which is not difficult to do, and the inside diameter of the wheels, it's a friction fit, and it works. Hey, it's not too much louder with bullets in it. Now be aware, if you decide to go this route, these wheels all have a hole in them, and if they've been outside, they have a tendency to collect water and or ants. Be prepared to spray those. You may have a colony. Also, good tip is to line them up so that if there's water in them, you can just let them drip right out and not worry about one draining and not the other. Excuse me. Now, I started out with 8-inch wheels. The inside diameter of these is about 4.25. So, these are the tightest ones. They're also the widest ones. They actually give me the least problems with clearance. You can see I clearanced these. These are actually the narrowest ones. The least friction fit, but good enough. Not worried about them walking. And but they would catch here and just sit there. I think I've boiled it down to these are the flattest and have the most squared shoulder, where these are kind of slightly rounded and have slightly rounded shoulder, and it created just that bit of clearance where these never gave me a problem. I also tried some 7-inch. These have a pretty square shoulder, but are slightly rounded. They gave me less problem. But I have settled, after going back and forth a few times, settled on these, which are about 6 3/4 inch diameter, which makes the canister rotate fastest. The 8 inches, it rotates at 70 3/4 RPM, and these run at 92.5 RPM. Now, my first thought was, how fast do we, rotate by hand? And, somewhere around 120, maybe a little faster. It all depends on, how energetic you are, how much you put in, how, your canister you're using even. So I used 120 as that, and I went back and watched Tin Man's video, timed his, and his was right at 60 RPM. So this splits that difference. This mark was for filming. I filmed it, watched it for a minute, counted the revolutions, and that's how I determined that. My RPMs are for the canister, not the wheels, but those are your gear ratio. Now, where's it going with this? Oh yeah. Now, thing is, what you want to do? Whoops. I didn't loosen it up all the way. First thing you want to do really is take a file and just round that outside edge over. It'll make it a lot easier to get these wheels on. Eastwood Aqua. Yeah. It also makes it easier to get the end caps on, because that sharp square edge will kind of bite in as you're pushing it on, where the slightly rounded edge doesn't. Also, I'm thinking when it's rotating and flexing, bolts bouncing off and stuff, that sharp edge may have a tendency to cut a little bit over time and shorten the life. So, it was a bit more difficult to get on when before I rounded that edge. Trying to hit my points. I tried to make this before and ran out of bullets to powder coat to do it again. I just wasn't happy with the overall video, so I just concentrate on the build and later on do the powder coat stuff. One thing, like the end caps, I wasn't sure what I was going to go with. I might cut this down a little bit. I started out at 18 inches because I needed a chunk. I wanted to see if I could get the wheels to fit. They did. Okay, I've cut it down to 14, but I still got a little room. Might cut it down to 12, so everything's more consolidated. Used a lot more powder than this. It's one thing I ran into. Tumble and look in and see a lot of silver. Dump them out, and the bottom ones are coated nicely. And I figured out I hadn't added enough powder. Add more powder, tumble them, they'll look good. So, yeah. Live and learn. Now, what I had forgotten is that Tin Man just pressed on his, the PVC end caps, which theoretically would create more static. But in the Harbor Freight one, it sits down in, which would prevent them from, just working their way off. I don't know if they would do it with this, but I don't want to take a chance. The other ones are the ones that insert, twist a wing nut, they expand. Those are nice, a little more expensive. With these, they're readily available. 2 of them cost me $10 after tax, so I got $10 invested in this experiment, which is showing promise. So, yeah, it's a cheap way out. One thing about the end caps is, yeah, I was thinking glue on. Well, that leaves you one end to work with, changing powders and stuff, cleaning it out. I want to be able to remove both so that, get as much as I can out, wipe it out, rinse it with water, dry it, whatever, makes it easier. What I'm thinking of doing is getting a piece of stiff rubber, 4-inch hole saw, cutting a disc and putting like a piece of threaded rod or something for push handle, and so that I can squeegee out as much powder as possible for minimal losses. That's future thing. Now, one thing I found is time can be an enemy. James Pollard told me 2 minutes is about all you need, and yeah, that is true, because
5 is right out.
You'll end up with excess buildup, and it will cling good and won't tap off. And Tin Man verified that, yeah, it could be 4,000 thickness powder, which double that, 8 thousandths extra. That's what I ran into. And I ended up getting bullets stuck in my sizing die, and I had to drill them out because I couldn't tap them out with a brass rod and hammer. That was not the most fun thing. I was worried about ruining a die, but it all worked out. They were going along fine enough, so wham! Okay, this doesn't want to go through, and it doesn't want to come back out. And then it happened again. And so I took my calipers to them, discovered that my what cast at 311 were 318, 319, and there are plenty of those, so I just remelted and recast. Repowder coated. The red ones are Powder by the Pound, Orient Red. And the blue ones are Eastwood Aqua. Now what I have found is that the Eastwoods cling better, but all my Eastwoods are blue based, and all my Powder by the Pounds are red based. So I don't know if it's the color formula or the manufacturer's formula that causes the reds, well, those oranges, red base, not to cling as well and not to self-level as well. When you're baking, these were baked at the same time, so temperature time is the same, and the Eastwoods are smoother and better covered, and the the Powder by the Pounds have more waves and just not as equally distributed. Even after tumbling, the powder was more evenly distributed with the Eastwoods. So yeah, fortunately I ran out of them, so I won't be tumbling at a later date when I get the new powders I ordered. We'll find out. Ordered Eastwoods with some reds and some more blues, but just kind of as close as I could get to the Powder by the Pound, which probably isn't that close, but still some reds. Okay, one manufacturer's versus the other. If one performs better, I'll say, hey, this is probably what the deal is. But anyway, like these slugs. This one was tumbled for 2 minutes. This one for 5. See if I can get. All right. You can see the sides filled in. Some of them are really bad. These maybe a little here and there. And in this groove down here, there's a lot thicker, a lot more in there. And with the 5-minute ones, when I went to bake them, these top grooves, I had to clean all of them out with my tweezers. Just, you know, kind of, they were just packed. The 2-minute ones were not. The coverage is almost as good with the 2 minutes. Better than what I'm doing by hand. So right there, I do this showed promise. I started out with my most difficult powder. I figured if that shows promise, you know, good to go. Instead of starting out with like Ford Light Blue, which, you know, just works, and then going, well, how is it with a powder that doesn't perform as well? Yeah, stick it right to it and find out what happens. Is, you know, what I was thinking. Worst case scenario, if it's better than usual, you're on the right track. But yeah, I'm thinking different tumblers. Some of them are, you know, very similar to the Frankfurt Arsenal, and some are slightly different, but maybe this could be modified to work with it. Different size wheel, you know, what it, if it's close, you know, the next size up might make it run. I'm not sure about the different brands. Yeah, initially I was thinking, oh, nice 6-inch or something. It'll run right on this outer. Until I looked at the price, and it's just astronomical. It's not worth it. Just go by the Harbor Freight and a 4-inch piece of PVC and end caps, because it might be cheaper. It's just that bad. 4 inches is the best bang for buck. After that, it just skyrockets. Anything else I can think of while I'm on the subject here? Yep. Thanks to Tin Man and James Pollard for helping out with some information. And yeah, I'll leave you with that. Have a good one. God bless. See you.